What's going on, y'all? Today we got NBA legends and players explain how special the '96 Bulls were. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into
Bulls
it.
are one of the greatest teams ever assembled, and you can easily argue that they're the best team in NBA history. But I was curious about what NBA legends and players thought about how special that '96 Chicago Bulls team was, especially when you got legends like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, who were on spectacular teams as well. So we will see players explain why that '96 Bulls team was so dominant. And after this video, please tell me what you think the '96 Bulls record will be in today's NBA. Enjoy the video, man.
So today's NBA, the '96 Bulls, what their record would be? Do they get time to let's say they grew up in this era, you know, and it all happened the same. They all, you know. I ain't gonna lie. I'm thinking like I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I really don't know. It's too hard to compare between eras, bro. It's too hard. Like,
Jordan in a free
let me know what y'all
game,
think, though, bro.
No hand checking. They would be even better than they were in '96. Michael Jordan playing by the day's rules. He's at a serious advantage.
That's a fact.
And Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen can guard Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, but they have nobody can keep Dennis Rodman off the boards, and he can guard Draymond. He can guard Iguodala.
Dennis was new that year. He had lost Horace Grant in his rebounding and his defense at that power forward spot. So Dennis fit that bill perfectly and really above and beyond for what Dennis did.
When the lights turn on, he gave everything he had.
There is the athleticism of Dennis Rodman.
Doesn't give up on the ball.
Ron Harper stepped up. Kukoc really developed in the previous 2 years. Really, everyone, that team really meshed so well as a team. And that was one of Phil's philosophies, that the wholeness and the balance of everything has to be together. I think that's one of the best teams where truly, I think everyone liked everyone and wanted to be around everyone all the time. Phil would break us up every now and then and pin those two guys against each other because they're really the only ones who could push each other to the limit.
Got the high socks on?
To keep up with them.
Those
Every night you step on the floor, teams were really gunning for you. In warm-ups, you could tell sometimes where teams just, before the game started, kind of succumbed to, wow, we don't have a chance. And other teams, we could see guys really roughing it up, getting ready, and like, okay, we're gonna have a little battle tonight.
Ruffin has it blocked by Longley. Oh, what a play to Pippen. Sally, yes, Jordan.
That's tough, Dennis. That's tough, Dennis.
Went wrong that whole year.
We won a lot of games because of the closeness. Nothing rattled us.
We were more polished from the neck up. We thought the game out a little
Scottie
bit
was catching some
We
bodies
read each
out
other
there.
more. We communicated better on the court. We had a great group of guys in terms of our bench, guys that, you know, were professionals in terms of taking care of their bodies and being ready for the back-to-backs.
We broke our franchise record with 64 wins that year. Then the Bulls break the NBA record with 72. That was a lot of good basketball during that year.
What was it like to play the Bulls in those days? Isaiah, you're a newcomer. You and Grant will have the first crack at this because we haven't had you here. But what was it like to play the Bulls in those years?
When they finally turned the corner and became champions, it wasn't so much the Bulls, it was their mindset. I thought when Phil Jackson came and replaced Doug Collins, I thought he totally changed the mindset, the mental makeup of the team. They became a stronger team mentally, they became tougher minded, and Jordan started believing more in his teammates. During the 80s, it was all about Mike, you know, how many points he could score, could he lead the team totally by himself. And once Phil got to the team, he started sharing the ball a little bit more. They went to the triangle, and they were strong enough mentally to get to their fourth and fifth option on every play. Before that, they could only get to their first and second option, but at the end, they were getting to their fourth and fifth option, and he trusted and bought in to his teammates as opposed to him trying to do it himself. And once they became that type of team, you know, they became the dynasty.
And we go to Larry Bird first. Larry, your take on this Bulls team and where it would rank against the great teams that you played with and against in the 80s.
Well, I think that this Bulls team is one of the best teams that I've ever seen. Of course, anytime you play on a championship team, you think that team is so special that it can beat anybody. But after watching the Bulls over and over this year, I think that they rank up there with some of the best that ever played. They have to be, because they won 70-some games and just lost 11, and obviously they're going to win this series as it goes on.
Larry, I think a matchup between your 86 Celtics, especially, and these Bulls would be very interesting, and no guaranteed win for Chicago with the front line that 86 team had, plus Dennis Johnson and Danny Ainge in the backcourt.
That's true. I think that's the reason that that we might do some good against them, because we did have the height advantage, and our front line was so unbelievable with Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Dennis Johnson in the background and Danny Ainge. And I think our only downfall at the time was Bill Walton was coming in as our sixth man.
Although that was a season where, for once, he was healthy. I think he played in 79 or 80 games that year. One thing that strikes me as... Oh, go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
Well, Bill was healthy when he wanted to be. You know, he played an awful lot of games and a lot of minutes for us that year, but at times we had to beg him to play for us.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jordan, he trusted his teammates then. You know, obviously, they were obviously a great team. You got up for that game. That was a game that you look forward to. Being a fellow Detroit alum and the history that was there, there was always an excitement in the Palace when they would come to town. For me,
but y'all blew it. I mean, we used to beat them all the time. I mean, we beat them like 18 or 20 straight times, and then they turned around and beat you like 24,
we beat them
26.
once. We beat them once.
You beat them once out of what?
We beat them once. They was on national television, too, so that was good. And for me personally, I didn't match up with Jordan. I wanted to guard Jordan, but Dumars, you know, he was the Jordan stopper on our team. And I was matched up with Pippen. And that was always, you know, a great matchup. I enjoyed that. He was kind of the guy that.
And they both wore the same number.
They beat us. I mean, you know, it was fun to compete, but it wasn't always fun to result. And
welcome to the Turner family.
With you in the backcourt, with Kareem up front, with James Worthy, with Byron Scott, with Michael Cooper for defense. Again, I think interesting matchups, and by no means assured that the Bulls would beat that team.
Well, Kareem is the X factor, because there's nobody that could stop him on their team. Then he would set up shots for everybody else. I think Larry made a good point about his Celtic team, the same thing. The only way you can beat this Bulls team is to have a dominant front line, and that's what we had, and that's what the Celtics had, and of course Dr. J with his team with Moses. So it would have been probably a great finals, a great series. But at the end, I think Kareem would have ended up winning it for us, maybe in a game 6 or 7.
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper would be better today. They would be better players today, in my opinion. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc, they would be better. There's no hand checking. Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Yeah, no hand checking. Michael Jordan would be different. Mike would be different.
He talks fast. I
Can't speak on the others. I don't know too much about the other, but I know Mike, no hand checking is very different.
You're going to rattle those guys off. Do it again. Do it again. Who are those guys?
Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen.
Come on, that wasn't close. Come on. But my point is this, Chuck. Those guys are great. They're great in this sandwich.
Consider when you talk about this Bulls team is that all year long they've been giving the fans of the basketball world a glimpse of the future, what the NBA is going to be like in the 21st century. It's going to be an international league, and they have 2 of the 3 best American players on their team.
He called it out.
The best player ever playing from Croatia. They have the best
called it out.
In the country of Australia. So we're getting a sneak preview of what it's going to be like in the 21st century.
And one last question for Magic before we get out of here. If, in fact, they're giving us a glimpse of the future, they're also connected to the past, Magic, because they play with an appreciation for the game and the proper approach that I know makes old-timers feel good about their success. Not that you're an old-timer necessarily.
You know, I am so excited about when I watch Chicago, because look at the team. They're made up of veteran players and role players who know their role. They have 3 superstars. The other players play their role.
Presence on the sidelines, the installment of the triangle, helping kind of to balance the offense and to keep Jordan moving around. I think that was all huge.
I think, Steve, to add to that, we all talk about the triangle offensively, but for wing guys, I think Michael's and Scotty's commitment defensively to really take the 1, the 2, the 3 out of the game, because there was no let up from them defensively. And I think they got a lot of that from Detroit. Defensively, their mindset was, we can go out and shut down every wing guy.
That's what I was going to really ask you about, Steve, that I think is the most impressive thing, because a lot of people climb to Mount Everest and then they make their way back down pretty quick. They acclimated themselves at the highest peak of competitiveness in the NBA and being able to sustain that for 3 championships, then missing a couple, and then your time there in the second run, to be able to sustain that on the physical level, but more importantly on a mental level, I think is the most impressive part of that. And you were in that mix the second time around, and we're learning about that drive. What's the secret there? I mean, what is the secret sauce for that maintenance and that sort of sustainability?
You mean other than Michael Jordan?
Well, yeah.
No,
because
I mean,
teams win. It has to be collective. It has to be collective.
I think the leadership of Phil Jackson and Michael and Scotty, they were really a team together. And I think stepping away from the game for a couple of years actually led to that second three-peat. People sometimes will say to me, gosh, if Michael hadn't gone to play baseball, you guys would have won like 7 in a row.
Kenny shaking his head, Steve. Kenny shaking
No way. No, it wouldn't have happened. And not because of him, but I think, and Kenny can attest to this, and Isaiah, when you win a couple of years in a row and you're playing deep into June and every game is so emotional and you're exerting so much energy, to keep trying to do it, it's almost impossible.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And again, please tell me what you think the 96.
That's the end of this one, y'all. Let me know in the comments if y'all think the 96 Bulls would be more dangerous today. What their record would be, like bro said. Young Gala, shout out to Young Gala. And if you think they're the best team ever. Those are my 3 questions, man. And I'm out of there, man. Turn on post notifications, subscribe. Links in the description, man. Make sure you click on the last reaction right here, though. And now I'm out of here for a fact.